This is where it gets good. I hope you can stick around. We won't do this. We're not going to go super long. You can notice our guys for a couple of house announcements. You notice our guys with the film, audio. We're recording this because this discussion that I want us to have is something that every parent is wanting to know about. Every teacher, every what I call next-gen influencer. Anyone that has leverage with a teen today and is capable of speaking into their life, this talk is important. So let me give you a little bit of background about who we are, what we do, and then we're going to just jump into it. So my name is Joe. I'm the executive director of Catalyst Collective, also known as Catalyst Teen Center. We started this about, I would say, 7 years ago. It's 2011, so we're entering in year 8. And at the beginning, it was just about, golly, we've got to engage the next generation. A lot of us were working for church, and what we realized in Williamson County, Travis County, in fact, Greater Austin, 90% of teens and young adults no longer attend church. 90%. For those of you who go to church, you're like, that seems crazy because my church has got teens. Yes, but when you zoom out, 90% say this is no longer an influence in my life, it's not relevant for whatever reason. And we started, and it changed the whole dynamic. So we created a nonprofit, and we said we think there's a better way to engage the next generation. And ultimately, we did that around some core concepts, which are out on our table back there. We call it the Purpose Project, and it's also in our new book, Throat Punch Normal, which was written for teens as a way for them and their mentors and leaders to take them through discovering how they're uniquely made and why it matters. What do you do with it? And I think this came up in the documentary, talking about the lack of after-school activities, but getting students involved. And here's the thing. When a student finds that thing that they're excited about, they're passionate about, right? That's the thing that drives them to overcome, right, the challenges and obstacles with being addicted to technology and all kinds of stuff. So overall, what we did 3 years ago, McNeil High School came to us and said, listen, we have a problem. We got 100 kids in our parking lot every day after school. There's fights breaking out. The cops are involved. We know there's drug sales going on. We got nothing for them. YMCAs are right across the street, but none of them can afford memberships to that, right? And so what are we going to do? And they gave us the freedom to come in and create something. So our team got together and we said, well, if we can use your cafeteria, we might be able to create a mobile teen center using the space. And we didn't know if it was going to work because, I mean, what teen wants to hang out in the cafeteria after school? You know, it's not the sexiest of environments, right? And so we did. We put up pipe and drape. We threw out bean bags, a coffee bar, game tables. We brought in inflatable bunkers for a Nerf battlefield. We threw up some video games on the wall, filled it with mentors, offered some free classes, and the first week we had like 20 kids hang out. You know, this is 2,500 students. Then by the fourth week we had 40. By the third month, we were averaging 50, and then by the fifth month, we were averaging 80, close to 100. Well, we're 3 years into this science experiment, averaging 150 students in it, and we'll have 20 to 25% of the entire school come through the program. And so they're getting to connect with mentors, tutoring. It took off so fast that when other principals came to visit it, one of the things that they sat in, looked in this room, this cafeteria filled with students, and they said to one another, I can't believe this, but I don't see a single student on their cell phone, right? Because of the engagement that was taking place. Now, that's when we knew we were onto something. So obviously this is a program that Matt alluded to that we're expanding, and it's part of what we do. We work with a lot of young adults and do a lot of other stuff. You can read about us later. So for tonight, and what I want to do, and one last announcement. Before you leave, at our table, some of our team will be at our table. I want you to grab one of these cards from our booth back there, because it's instructions to a website and a code where this Purpose Project that I'm talking about, which is an online video course, is free. The code is free, but also there's a link to some resources, in particular a blog we put together called 25 Ways You Can Use Technology to Positively Impact the Next Generation. Okay? And we'll go through some of those ideas here, but ultimately our strategy is, it's not it's not a either or, it's a both and. It's offense and it's defense. And we've got to have both strategies in place. And for us, we want to use technology to deepen our relationship with the next generation, because it is a window into their soul, and we want to help connect, we want to help inspire, and we want to show them how they can use the technology that they're already using to do something positive to fuel their passions. And that's what we're about. So let me quickly introduce our student panel here, and hopefully we can get into you guys asking them maybe some honest questions. Their parents aren't in the room. You don't know them. They don't know you. So there's no filter. They're going to tell you what they really think. And so this might be a good opportunity to pick their brain. So with the mic, Faith, you got the mic. Someone's got the mic. Why don't you guys just real quick, give us your first name, where you go to school, grade you're in, and just quick thoughts about the documentary we just saw. So go for it.
Okay. My name is Faith. I go to Cedar Park High School. I'm in 10th grade. And I think what stood out most to me about the documentary was probably the impact that it portrayed that it had on teen girls, because I found that to be pretty realistic. Social media plays a big role in the lives of females in high school. You want to go this way?
Hi, I'm Dylan. I go to Cedar Park High School as well, and something that stood out to me in this film is that I am in 9th grade, yes. Something that stood out to me in this documentary was that it was made like a year or two ago, because like all the statistics were up to 2015 and stuff. And I feel like a lot of the information that they presented wasn't as relevant now that they're incorporating more technology in classes today, and so you need to be more connected in each class.
Okay, my name is Cora. I'm in 8th grade. I go to Founders Classical Academy. One thing that I thought played a lot of impact on me was how they said that students and like teenagers are given a ton of rules on their technology, but then their parents say that it's not for them to abide by. And I come from a family where my dad works as a computer programmer, so he's on his computer all the time, and my mom is always helping out, trying to find like Google things that are like wrong with us, like we're sick and she needs something to fix it. So they're always on their computers. So when you try and talk to them, it's kind of like you're their second priority in that conversation. Whereas when they're trying to talk to you and like I'm on my phone, they'll make me put it down and look them in the eye and finish the conversation. So that was really relatable to me.
Hi, I'm Eliza. I'm in 6th grade. I go to Cedar Park Middle School. And I would just like to point out that my parent actually is in the room, so...
I was trying to keep that on the down low in case she said anything that I wanted to not own. But I got 2 of my own kids up there, so I told them fire away. They'll get grounded if they're not honest.
What stood out to me the most was kind of like how they're saying technology takes over, and it can really be addicting, but and I don't have a phone, so but sometimes when you're in like a conversation with someone and then they get a text and then they go straight to it, you kind of like want to know what it is, but you feel left out. So it's kind of just like, yeah, again, like a second priority. So.
Hi, my name is Juanita, and I go to McNeil High School, and I am a senior. And one of the things that really stuck out to me in this video is like, it took most parents to actually try and build up a contract or build up rules to realize they need the rules themselves. Like, it was funny to watch 2 parents argue in a video about like, no, you use your phone the most at night, or no, it's your fault, she saw you. Like, I think that really stuck out to me because like my mom's on her phone more than I am at nighttime.
My name's Wee. I'm in 9th grade and I go to Cedar Park High School. And one of the biggest things that stood out to me was the statistic that it said that we spend like 6.5 hours on a phone each day. But I don't think that statistic is really true because I spend like 8 hours a day at school, and then I spend another 8 hours sleeping, and then I take like an hour or 2 to get home because I'm always hanging out with friends in person after school, whatever that may be, like going to the comic shop or just hanging out and talking. So
So you're doing your part to drag that average down. Way to go, buddy. Awesome. Okay. All right. Y'all going to pass that mic back. So some of the questions we might have for these guys could be directed to them as a whole. You might want to call somebody out. As you saw, Eliza there in 6th grade does not have a cell phone yet. Her sister on the other end, Faith, got a cell phone as she was graduating 8th grade. So she survived middle school without a cell phone. Modern miracle. You can talk to her about that here or later. So let's. There's a lot to wrestle with here, but what are some thoughts that are questions you might have for them? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to come bring the mic so that everyone can hear you, and then we can let them respond. Who wants to jump in? So we got any brave souls on this side since everybody wanted to hide in this corner? Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Thank you. Thank you for jumping in. Here we go.
Okay, I just want to know what's the youngest age any of you up there has gotten your cell phone, because I have nieces and nephews that my youngest nephew is 5 years old, and he's obsessed with his older brother and his older sister's phone. So I just want to know how young. What was the youngest y'all were when y'all got y'all's first phone?
So Dylan was 7th grade. Zane got his in 7th. I got mine my freshman year of high school.
My family says you can't have a phone until you're 13.
I, again, don't have a phone, but I did get an iPod when I was like 10. Yeah, I'm gonna go with that.
I grew up in a house where if you want something, you're gonna work for it. So I didn't get my first phone, so I got my first job and paid for it. So.
Woo! That's even more rare. Come on, Mom. That was great. Hey, but we all know, and I appreciate that, because they have, a lot of these have younger siblings, and they're asking for phones every day. And, I remember, when our girls were growing up, especially Eliza, her friends in elementary school, they don't knock at the door anymore, right? They text me, hey, can Eliza come out and play? I'm like, where are you? You're right outside my front door, texting me, asking if my daughter can come out and play. It's ridiculous. All right, something else. Some other questions we got. All right, here we go. I'll come back to you.
So I'm curious, y'all that go to Leander schools that have a computer given to you by the school, how's that affected you?
I got a computer from my dad, which I
bought because the school district requires it.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I broke that one. And then I had to buy his off of him and use an iPad till I could do that. But really, the computer was very helpful. But once you weren't at school, when you were at home, it was kind of like you can do what you want with the computer. Like some things were may have been like kind of restricted still, but you could still watch Netflix or do things that you wanted to do. So it wasn't very limited when you went back home.
Let me ask you this, Eliza. You got the computer. Do you think you use it more for school or for entertainment?
Well, you're at 8 hours, like you have 8 hours of school that you're at.
Oh, so you can go technical on me.
I'm like an A. I'm an A+ student, so.
You could grind it if you're not honest. No, it's okay.
So I found that I only use my laptop for school and for homework because like that's what you got it for, not so you could watch movies or TV. That's what TVs and stuff are for. So I think if you're buying a laptop to use it for entertainment, you should probably just buy your own and not buy one from the district.
So I have my own personal laptop that I bring to school instead of having to rent from the school. And I always have an extra page open. Like I'm on like Pinterest on the side when my teacher's just lecturing. Like social studies is so easy. She'll be lecturing and I'll just be on Pinterest, and then we can take a quiz and I'll get 100. So it's just.
The LISD laptops like block a lot of like game websites though. So there's not like a whole bunch of opportunities to be able to like switch over to a different tab, but there is like Pinterest and stuff. But I don't know a whole lot of high school guys who will go on Pinterest. So there's not a whole lot of opportunity.
All right, this is good. Yeah, I'll hold it for right there. You have a question?
I'm often reminded I'm the meanest parent in the world because I don't let my kids have their phones upstairs. How many of y'all get to have your phones at night? And if you do you stay on them during the night?
Quick, raise your hand. Who can have your phone with you or technology, whatever, in your room, in your bed at night? Okay, so then the other 3 of you are no? That's 50-50?
Yes.
You can. I can take it with you. Okay, 4 out of 6.
Okay, well, my family has us all put like every device in a basket at 10 o'clock, and then you can't do anything else unless you have like a special exception that you've asked for. But I mean, it's kind of hard for my parents who have 9 kids to check that every kid's like 5 different devices are in that basket. So a lot of times there's like that one kid that decides to break the rules, and when that one kid breaks the rules, every kid has to have, like, the time moves back and back and back. And so like at one point it was like 5 o'clock, you have to have all your devices in the basket. So it kind of like gave incentive to not do that, because then you have the other 8 siblings hating on you for like the rest of your lifetime.
Yeah. Matt's got one. I'm gonna come over on this side too.
Just wondering what you guys think should be a school or a school district's policy on cell phones, if there should be one, and if so, what should it be?
Well, like I said, I go to McNeil High School, and so like we have a lot of transfer students who like don't speak English. So like in our classroom, it's like we can like mentor somebody if we want to, but like if it's just a regular 31 class, like I have a teacher right now, he's a soccer coach, so it's funny when you have a coach as a regular teacher because most of the time they're really loud. And so like he said, we can use our phones as long as like if he's up there lecturing, he wants eye contact just to make sure we're understanding everything he's saying and all that. But most of the teachers are really laid back on phones nowadays because it actually helps some kids. Like me personally, like I'm dyslexic, I'm like bilingual, all that stuff, so music helps me. Like we even did a test, like if I don't have music in my ears, I fail like 90% of my tests. And so like when it comes to like the lectures and stuff, put your phone away. But if it comes to like quizzes, tests, put a playlist on, put your phone away, and then you're good. So like I feel like we should be allowed to have phones, just like limited at the same time.
I feel like you should have your phone in class, but I feel like there should be limits. Like when the teacher's talking, you're not allowed to have it out. Like when you're supposed to be working, you're not allowed to have it out. But I do think you should be able to listen to music, or when it's just like when you're done with all your work, you should be allowed to do whatever you want on your phone.
Well, I find that there are a lot of moments, like in the classroom, whenever you have finished all your work and there's really nothing you should be doing. And yeah, during tests and things like that, I do find that I do better when I am listening to music, because most of the time I study with music on, and I feel like it kind of helps me go back into the moment of studying. And so I still have like the knowledge in my brain type of thing. So I feel like you should have your phone, but you shouldn't like use it during tests except for like music, but you should be able to use it like in class whenever you're not really doing anything.
Okay, this is making me want to ask an interesting question. Of all 6 of you up there, how many of you feel like you study better with music? Okay, put your hand down. Old people. How many of you feel like you studied better with music when you were a teen? Okay. Like, that's not the majority. So something is shifting. Some of us did. I couldn't do that. I can't listen to music and study. I mean, the smallest little tap would drive me nuts, right? I've got to have silence and focus. So I think that's interesting. I'm gonna come back there. I see your hand here, but I'm coming here first.
Hey, ladies and gents, Dan here from Juvenile Services. One of the main issues that the video pointed out in regards to teenagers and technology is the self-control. They talk about self-regulation and that kind of stuff. What are some of the things that you are doing to kind of help, regulate your technology use, and just to help you build that self-control so you're not constantly out there taking selfies and, being distracted or just not engaging life like up front?
You guys policing yourself up there, and it could be video games. Do you feel that I'm in this too much? How are you policing yourself on this stuff? Go ahead.
For me, I think that it's really hard to police yourself when you're kind of immersed in a world of technology, but especially when it's like bringing you a lot of like happiness, like pleasure. But I think it's easier when you find something that takes you away from it to realize like, oh man, I could have like been doing this the whole time. I recently like got into photography and joined wrestling, and it's really made me have a lot less time on my phone because I spend so much time doing other things, and there's really nothing interesting left on my phone. So once you step back and you like get out of that like hole that you've been sucked into by technology, it's easier to see that it's not that interesting and like you could have been doing a lot of other things.
That's good. I want to someone else chime in on that, but I want to say that I think that speaks to our earlier point of when we help teens find that passion button within them, that becomes the thing that they invest time and attention into more so than other things, and that's what we're looking for. And for Faith, that was photography, and for others, it's got to be something else. Go ahead, Cora.
Okay, so when I first got my phone when I was 13, I in the first 2 months I was on it like pretty much 24/7, and like I was the kid who snuck it past the 10 o'clock deadline and everything. Not the only kid, but I was one of them. And I started realizing, you know, when you're like up late talking to your other middle school friends, middle school kids are gonna say some pretty stupid stuff at 12 at night. So I was like, this is causing so much drama and I don't want this. And I started realizing like I need to regulate my time. So what I did was I would use my phone and computer and stuff like that, especially when I'm doing homework, only in open areas. And I told my brothers, since I have 6 of them and they will use any excuse to get revenge on me, I told them, if you see me doing anything like for this, like I would say, I'm gonna be on social media for 30 minutes. If you see me go past that timer, slap me. And then I was like, so, I mean, my brothers are strong, like they're football players. I do not want to get slapped by them. So I would use that as my like, okay, Corey, get off. You're going to get like actually hurt by this.
That's good. Any of you guys, maybe fellas, when it comes to video games, same thing? Do you feel like you police yourself when it comes to anything like that? Netflix? No.
Yeah, no.
Okay, good. All right. We're moving on. Next question.
So here's a tough one, I think. If you didn't have a screen, be it your phone or a TV, if you couldn't play music before bed, is it possible to fall asleep? What suggestions would you have for someone to fall asleep? If you don't like reading as well, if you take that out the equation, do you guys have any suggestions for that?
One time I lost my charger and I read a book.
You can't read.
Books.
Reading, you can't read either. What would you do?
Mess around with a yo-yo? I don't
As a high school student, it's pretty easy for me to fall asleep. So I don't really struggle with having to have music to fall asleep or having to use my phone to tire me out because at the end of the day, I'm already done. So.
Well, I find that like normally I do and like stay up late even without like my phone and especially books. Like I'll stay up all night reading a book like last night. But I do a lot of sports also, so I realized that like in order to get myself tired, like I would exercise, like do a workout before bed or like try stretching or practice some of my cheers and stuff like that. And that like would exhaust me, but I also enjoy talking a lot. So in case you haven't noticed, but so I share a room with my sisters. So I would just talk until like my sisters like talking too. So I would talk until either I annoyed them to where they fell asleep or they annoyed me to where I fell asleep. But I like either interacted with people or like tired myself out before so that I wouldn't have to use music.
All right. Good stuff. Next question over here.
I have a question regarding social media. It's kind of a 3-part thing. What is your favorite social media app that you're using? And what's your experience with people having fake accounts, and why do you think they may do that?
Okay, so raise your hand if the go-to is Snapchat. Okay, Zane, do you have a go-to? Instagram. Okay. 4 Snapchat, 1 Instagram. All right. Second part of the question, Juanita.
Yeah, like my favorite app is Snapchat, and I feel like Snapchat is like a place, like literally now that they updated the app, you can locate anybody around the world as long as their location's on. I feel like it's a better way to like keep in contact, keep location, especially if you have your parents on Snapchat, which I do not. Like, I don't need their location.
So I want you to hang on to that mic real quick. So it may be harder in Snapchat to maybe not create false accounts, but what you guys experience with fake accounts, and how do you feel about that? Have you ever created a fake account? That kind of stuff. Experience with it on any platform.
So I got played with a fake account before, and it's not fun. It feels really like, it makes you feel vulnerable, like especially if you like have like a really serious conversation with the person, and it like turns out like, hey, send me a snap, and it's like you're like an 80-year-old guy or something, or like a 10-year-old girl, and it's like, it's really off guard, and like it makes you like really mad. Like I almost made a fake account one time, but I didn't. That's just not the kind of person I am. But like, it's really easy to make fake accounts no matter what social media it is, because they don't ask for ID, social, nothing. You can put in any date of birth, any birthday, anything, make any name. Doesn't even have to be a real name. It can be an animal, and it's just easy. Good.
But pass that down to Dylan and Faith. I'll let you guys respond to that.
Okay, so I actually have 2, one for Instagram, one for Snapchat. The one on Instagram is one day in my direct messages, someone had DM'd me, asking me a bunch of questions. I later found out it was my mom who had made a fake account. And then on Snapchat...
Crafty, those are creative points right there.
And then on Snapchat, my mom found my thing and started tracking me using the Insta map. So I had to make a new account and use that one. She still hasn't found it, so.
I would say that like there have been like times where I've been like, maybe I should create a fake account because I really want to follow this person, but I don't want them to know I'm gonna follow them because I low-key have a crush on them or whatever. And then I step out of it and I'm like, that's stupid, and then I just use my friend's account.
Tricks to the trade. Question? Go ahead, Zane.
Oh, well, I haven't really had any experience with fake accounts or anything, because mainly what I do on social media is on Instagram, I have a private account, and on Snapchat, I won't accept a friend request on Snapchat unless I know who is friending me, and I'll talk to them before they even friend me on Snapchat. And on Instagram, I have a private account, so they have to request to follow, and then I look at their account, see if I know them, and then if I know them, I'll let them follow. But other than that.
So let me ask you this then, because you don't seem to be as concerned about number of followers, likes, shares, any of that stuff. I mean, what drives you to create more private accounts versus all your friends who are like, yeah, I'll take a friend request from anyone?
It's just kind of I don't have a lot of friends, so, and I don't want people stalking me on my profiles and all that. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
We are very similar.
It's interesting. So, quick note on something we've noticed as technically you're in high school. This is Generation Z coming up behind millennials. And one of the things that researchers are finding about Gen Z is that they're learning from the mistake of millennials. Millennials posted all their dirty laundry online, they got busted, all this kind of stuff. Gen Z learned from that and says, okay, there's a smarter way to go about this. And I think Zane's might be an example of a lot more of what you're gonna see. So anyway, go ahead.
Going a little bit darker, they touched on it in the video with making Instagram posts or Snapchat and having someone respond with, my God, if I looked like that, I would kill myself, or commenting on other people's appearance or things that other people are doing in their lives. I don't really have a question, but I'm more curious to get your opinion on, well, I guess it is a question. How can we collectively combat the impact that's having on your generation?
I'm gonna be honest, I haven't really noticed many people being like, if I looked like you, I would kill myself. I've more experienced people being kind of like constructive criticism, like maybe you shouldn't do this because it like sends a certain image to people, and but there are people who say things like what you were saying, and I think one way to stop them is just to block them, or like for certain photos on Instagram you can disable commenting and stuff like that if you don't want people talking.
So let me take this, and I think I hear what you're saying. Even if you personally have never experienced any sort of cyberbullying or been on the other end of those comments, you've seen them happen, and you've seen them aimed toward people you know. What do you think, should be done about that? And does your generation have any responsibility in stopping that?
Well, I think that if it's gonna happen, it happens in person a lot. Like, maybe not to the person's face, but it's just like gossip behind their back. Nobody's gonna comment it online because whoever it is gonna screenshot it. Like, they're not scared of telling their friends or telling other people. Like, that's not a big problem for them. So people who are bullying aren't gonna put it out there like that so people can think that they're a jerk. They're gonna like make underhand comments or talk to their friends about it, and it's just it's smart. They're smart about it.
Right. And most of like a comment like something like that oftentimes isn't public, but it would come across through a private message or something more secure, text message.
Yeah, it's really hard to prevent that because it's just teenagers. It stems from insecurity, and it's going to be impossible to ever completely stop. I mean, you're always going to have someone who feels insecure and wants to make someone else feel like that, and it's kind of impossible to prevent. You can, though, help prepare teenagers with how to deal with it and help, like, build up teenagers' confidence so that they don't feel the need to be affected by what someone's saying to them or about them.
That's good. I want someone else to respond to that, because, and I think what I hear you saying, Faith, is that I don't know what to do about it. It's always going to happen. It's always been there. Bullying's been there in some way, shape, or form. So I don't, it's honest. It's an honest answer, and I like it. But I'll mention this. I'll sit on this for just a second before we wrap up, because I know it's a big hot button issue for your school districts. Your principals, administrators are trying to figure this out because nationally the rates of suicides are increasing. And so we, as adults, we want to do our part, but we're also curious as to, is there something that your generation can own to help combat this? Go ahead.
Okay, well, so I think Faith really touched on you can't really stop it, but you can prepare people on how to deal with it, because I've been on, I haven't been like cyberbullied, but I have very close friends who have, and were pushed towards attempts on suicide because of it. And this was last year, 7th grade, and I was like, whoa, I'd never been in a public school except for 2nd grade before that, and I was like, this is not okay for 7th grade girls and guys to be doing, but it happened all around me. Sometimes people, it was so hidden you didn't even see that someone had a problem because they're so good at making a mask and pretending like their life is okay. So I think one of the things that my teachers didn't help with was they said, oh, kids are so emotional in our school, because I go to a charter school where it's a very rigorous academic load. So they were like, oh, they're just stressed out because of the schoolwork, and so this is just because of that. But what they didn't see was that there is actually a craving that the students have to feel like they touched on the comments on girls' posts, oh, you're so pretty and stuff like that. When I find that most of the times when people post, comment, oh, you're so pretty and stuff like that, they want to be called pretty back. And so that's why they're commenting that on your photo. So I think they really need our generation can work on being more positive towards those people and giving them more uplifting comments.
That's good. That's awesome. Let me close with a couple of thoughts, and that's simply here. I want to just give some practical examples. Things that you'll read if you pick up our flyer back there and read the blog we wrote, you're going to see 25 ideas just like this. But here's the deal. Like, if I'm sitting down at McNeil in front of a student who's taken our purpose project and gone through it, because we bribed them with pizza, and I'm sitting here looking at how they're uniquely made, their personality type, their natural talents, their life experiences, and different factors, and I'm trying to help them pinpoint that area, that passion button, that thing that's at their core that they may be brilliant at but don't know it yet. I want to use technology where I can to get them involved. So some students I sit down with, and I'm like, you're a writer, you're a communicator. Why don't you blog for us? If you write something on a topic you're passionate about, our organization's going to post it. Really? You'll do that? Yeah, we will, totally. Another young man I talked to, and this is common, right? What do you want to do for a living? I want to do video games for a living. You know, esports is going to be a thing. If you haven't heard of that, it is a thing. It's going to be even more a thing. It's going to be the thing that may take over physical sports like NFL and NBA and MLB. Esports has the possibility to be one of the top grossing incomes of sports ever. And this is electronic. I'm going to turn on ESPN and I'm going to watch two guys play Call of Duty and battle each other. I'm not going to play video games. I'm going to watch other people play video games, right? That's what the next generation is wanting to do. That's the thing, right? And when I'm sitting in front of those young men, I'm saying, you know what? You're a consumer. You're taking. If you really want to do something, you've got to learn to produce. How about you figure out something about the game that you love and start a YouTube channel or record something. Put your own channel together on tips and tricks and how you navigate through this game. Produce a product out of it. And we can help you. We can help you get started with that. That's one way to do it. You know, so for those that are into photography, you know, would you come and start posting for us? This man behind the camera right here, he was a teenager when I met him umpteen years ago, and all he knew is he wanted to do film. And I'm not kidding you, with the first $1,000 that Catalyst had in our budget, and I had him around, I said, dude, let's buy film equipment and start filming stuff. And he started filming stuff for us, right? Now, 9-10 years later, he just left his job to launch his own film production company called Method Living Productions, right? Because we found something 9-10 years ago that he could get his hands around and mess with, right? So those are some examples that you're going to read. I hate Snapchat because I seriously don't want to learn another thing. I get that. I'm so done. I'm like, dude, I don't want to learn Instagram. But what I do want to do is I want to maintain a deeper connection with my kids and with this generation I'm trying to lead. And if I have to do it through Snapchat, that's the vehicle I'm going to use to get in their world and be an influence. How about a round of applause for these guys, right? They happily skipped out on homework to be here, and anyhow, they're around. If anyone wants to stay after and ask some questions, you can. If you want to ask me anything, me and my team will be back out there.
All right, and a round of applause for Joe as well. If you can't tell, he's very...